So there are obviously some questions about whether there is a conflict here that undercuts the DOJ in connection with this case. And joining me now to discuss it, Mark Hanna, who's former aide to the Kerry and Obama presidential campaigns, and David Webb, host of the David Webb Show and co-founder of the Tea Party 365. So the DOJ reaches out to the good professor, who Mark knows, and says, "Professor, help us out, find out whether there is a problem with this law." And then the professor looks to this firm that's aligned with all these, progressive causes and says, could you help me gather my statistics? Thumb on the scale, Mark?
I think the credibility of Catalyst as a company is beyond repute here and beyond reproach, rather. I think, you have universities all over the country, Yale University, Harvard University, Brigham Young University, hardly a bastion of liberalism, using Catalyst, this data mining company, to gather together data that no other private company is able to do. They, in their charter, yes, ally themselves with progressive causes, but they're an independent company that works for any range of environmental causes.
Laughing at you.
I don't know why David's laughing.
That's not nice.
Here, look, let me just say this, though. Political scientists, professional political scientists working at universities, they're after a truth. They're seeking the truth, and they're in the business of knowledge production. They're not after a partisan political agenda or motive.
Really?
Well, maybe
professors
you don't think so.
at universities?
We think that, okay, the good folks at Harvard University are somehow not credible, but Lamar Smith is a credible source on this one.
I'm just saying, generally universities, as you put it, aren't exactly the bastion of liberalism either. I mean, conservatism, yeah.
No, honestly, they're not the bastion of either. That's the point. Lamar Smith, we know what he's the bastion of.
Can we just get out of the
Yeah,
let's talk about.
I've heard a lot of things that are making my head spin.
You're digging here, and I'm going to get you a backhoe in a second.
Let's talk about.
There are a number of other companies, and if you really want to reach out, there's a company called Westpac. They work heavily even with the Census Bureau, very much like them, if you wanted to do that. But what's important here is we can argue about whether the catalyst is honest or not. Let's go to the Assistant District Attorney or Attorney General for Civil Rights in Texas. When he looks at the numbers, 93% of Hispanics are registered. Now, I've lived in Texas, Megan, and you have to drive to the polling locations, and I've voted in Texas. So how do you get there? You drive, you have a driver's license. What's the problem with showing voter ID?
Not everybody.
Wait, but now you're arguing the merits because but just so we're clear, because Texas wants voter ID laws, right? They want you have to show the voter ID. The DOJ is challenging
this
that.
Voter ID law hasn't been upheld in the Supreme Court.
Okay, but just to set it up, so this is what it's over, right? That Texas wants this law. The DOJ doesn't like this law. They think it disenfranchises minorities and other voters.
It's extremely
and so now they're
discriminatory,
looking to sort of find out the truth. Does it do that? So DOJ turns to the professor, and the professor enlists Catalyst, and there's a question about whether Catalyst has its thumb on the scale or not. Did they have to put it out to competitive bid? Aren't they required?
Well, I don't think Fox News has confirmed one way or another. I mean, maybe they have, whether or not there was a competitive bidding process. I talked to a friend of mine who worked for Catalyst for 4 years before coming on today, and he was going through his old files and wasn't able to.
Wouldn't the DOJ be saying it's a?
Yeah,
let us know, Tracy.
By the way,
did they put it out for a competitive bid? Let us know.
A competitive bid, by the way, is a public record, so it's real easy to find after some digging whether they had it out for competitive bidding or not. You can get that. You don't require a FOIA.
We'll find out if they did so. We will update.
But you know, here's the problem.
Voter disenfranchisement.
No, let's talk about this.
Because we already had that debate, right? I mean, I know the viewers know. No. But the viewers know. The viewers know.
Voter ID laws. 2.2 million people who were eligible, registered voters in 2008 didn't vote.
We've had. Hold on.
Because of their
hold on.
They didn't have.
We've had that debate. We've had that debate. Today's debate is about whether they are using a firm they should not be using in the context of trying to find an objective source in this lawsuit. Now, David, Mark says that Catalyst has been used, by many organizations to provide an independent voice. Are they necessarily biased just because they have some affiliation with progressive
causes?
They're
not necessarily biased, but if their bias comes out contrary to the overwhelming existing evidence in Texas when it comes to registered voters and the number of people that are registered, and I'm talking based on voter rolls, whether it's Hispanic, black, or otherwise, if that doesn't match up with what Catalyst produces, then I would question their data and their results.
It's based on that data,
by the way,
Catalyst
the department
bases it on publicly visible data. The voter rolls is the information they use, and they
so it's not manipulated. It cannot be manipulated.
Cross-referenced with commercial data. They take all the publicly available data, cross-reference.
No, they don't.
commercial data.
because
This
if
is the methodology. It's on their website.
I read the methodology, and if they really wanted to cross-reference, they could also counter by cross-referencing with existing Census Bureau data, which also collects some of that. So they didn't. And they went for a specific race-based identification in their methodology to come up with a point. They saw the point.
Wait, isn't that what they're supposed to be doing? Trying to find out the number of minorities who are disenfranchised allegedly?
And it came out that, and again, I'm going with the Texas Department of Justice on this, who shows that 93% of Hispanics are registered, which means disenfranchisement, really? Now let's look at the DOJ.
No, can't look at anything more because we have to go.
Okay.
I don't feel like we've solved it.
No, can we? Let's have
Well, the
part two.
problem, Megan, is
all right, we will. We'll have you back.
We never solve it.
And
because
we'll
we
have you back, and we'll talk
issues.
about it some more, and maybe we'll get into all this mind-numbing numbers.
It is mind-numbing.
Thank you both.
Mind-boggling. Stimulating. Mind-stimulating.
Thank you very much. Maybe I need a couple Tylenol and I can understand it better.